I can't believe these tools exist in 2025. Some of these are going to absolutely blow your mind, including one that'll help you make box joints even if you've never done it before, and they'll be perfect, dead accurate. Let's go. If you'd like to check out any of these tools that I show today, I'll link those in the description, the pinned comment, the shop button on YouTube, and of course, the QR code for my TV viewers. Now, let me show you about this box joint jig. Super cool. This is the JessEm box joint jig. It's one of the easiest jigs I've ever used to make something that looks as good as that. JessEm did send this over for me to try, and man, am I glad they did. I have never been able to make box joints fit that good, that fast, that easy. Check this out. Out of the box, you get absolutely everything you need to get this going straight away. All you got to do is unpack it and put it together, and assembly was very easily. You got a base frame, a top frame, and then you got 3 fences and 3 keys. All 3 router bits that you're going to need from white side, which I was very proud to see because I love some white side router bits. Basically a small, medium, and large size. When you go to set this up, I actually set this up on a medium box joint. I put the medium key in there, used the fence that fit that key, bolted it to this frame, and then attach it to the base frame, which is very easy. There's 2 little pins right here you lift up, and it slides on there. Once it's on there, this thing will slide and glide butter smooth. Now, I don't have a JessEm router table. I built my own router table. I have a T-track in it. So the way you attach this to the JessEm router table wouldn't work with mine. But I come up with a solution. I've got T-track in mine, so I just use T-track clamps, clamp the base down. It was solid as a rock, not a single problem. If you have a similar setup, you could do that as well. I don't think there will be an issue with that. Now, to get this setup ready to cut, all you got to do is raise the router bit to be the same thickness or the same height as the thickness of your material that you're going to be cutting. Or if you have a JessEm setup jig, you can use one of those to measure the height of your stock and then set your router bit to match. From there, you're ready to cut. Now, I'm cutting both walnut and maple here because I like that contrasting look. Doesn't it look good? You just get that walnut and maple. You're just going to keep stepping over every time. On the first piece, you're going to go all the way to the end. You're going to flip it over and then use that as a guide to start your next piece. And then you'll start stepping it down until you're done. When you're done with that, all you got to do is put them together. They fit perfect and they look good. There's only one spot on mine. While I was still over the router bit, I went to pick it up and I caused a uh-oh there instead of sliding it back and then moving it over. That was on me. But the rest of them were absolutely perfect, and it took 5 minutes to assemble and set up on my router table. Like, it's dead simple, and I got dead accurate results. If you've been thinking about getting into box joints with the price of this jig, how accurate it is, how easy it is to set up, it's one of the easiest things I've ever done. And making box joints, I've tried that before and not always had good success with my homemade jig. Pretty easy. Next on the list is the Oliver 15-inch planer. It's one of the most popular woodworking tools of 2025. We are living in the future with everything we have available. This Oliver planer is kind of pricey, but there's a lot of stuff going on in it. First and foremost, you get the helical cutter head, and it's 15 inches wide. Typically, your standard benchtop planers are about 13 inches. Some are 12 and a half. This, you get a full 15-inch width to cut. That's extremely nice to have, especially at this price point. And it is somewhat mobile. You're not going to be picking this thing up and off the bench very often because it does weigh about 135 pounds. It's a beast. But with that, you do get 2.5 horsepower, so you're going to be able to plane anything you need. There's a lot of capacity here, and it does have 2 speeds. You get a 12 and a 22 feet per minute, so you can really get that fine finish on that last planing pass. It also has that DRO, the digital readout. I love those things because now you can zero out where you want to go. So if you only want to take off a 1/4 inch, you can do that. Or if you have a piece of wood that you're trying to match so you can get the same thickness as one you've previously done, you can use that board to set your zero and then raise it up and plane back down to that zero. Matches that board perfectly every time. That's why I like the digital readouts. And they're just cool to look at. And of course, it does have positive stops at the common thicknesses. Very easy to roll up and down with that 4-post ball screw design. It's a really nice planer. The only gripe I have about the planer is I wish the digital readout was a little easier to read. It's kind of got some ghosting in the background. In person, it is much easier to read than what you're seeing on camera. It just doesn't come across on camera. But it still does have that ghosting in the background. I wish that was a little better. And I wish the shipping price was a little cheaper because it ain't cheap. About $400 to get it shipped, which I think is kind of silly. If you want to save about $800, check out the Grizzly, made by the same factory. Difference here is this is 120 volt versus a 230 volt. So if you don't have 230, this might benefit you. And it does have the digital readout. It's a little different. It's not quite as clear. And this is a spiral head. For the most part, though, they're very similar and they perform quite similarly. in most cases, unless you're doing some very exotic hardwoods that are very kind of brittle, like leopard wood. I saw a lot more tear out on the Grizzly versus the Oliver. Next, the JessEm Quick Angle Square. They sent this over a while back, and you're going to be shocked at everything this thing can do because it does have a secret feature that no other square on the market has, ever. It does come with this MDF mounting board. It has some keyholes on the back so you can mount that on the wall, and there is a nice little magnet in there to magnetize that so it won't fall out. So you can put this on the board and it won't fall out, even tilting it quite a bit. So if you're mounting it flush, it's not going to fall out. If you turn it all the way over and shake it, it'll fall out. And this is stainless steel, and yes, this is magnetic. That is possible. Just depends on what type of stainless steel you're using. Now this has everything you need in a layout square and more. It does have those notches so you can scribe those parallel lines, and it holds that pencil just right in that little nice groove, so you'll be able to draw those parallel lines while you're laying out your stock. It also has a cool little feature, why they call it the quick angle square. You pinch this little brass piece here and you can move it, and it has some nice positive stops at common angles. So if you're wanting a 22.5 degree angle, you can just set it there, and now you can easily mark that over and over again. This has a scale in 1/16 of an inch all the way up the back side on each side, and then you also have some common angles, the hips and valleys and everything else right in the center. Now the secret feature is, if you followed JessEm at all, or if you have any of their tools, you know exactly what this is. This is textured. It almost feels like sandpaper, but it's actually a laser etched part of that square. What they've done is patented this because it's such a genius idea. This, if you push down on it, it flexes a little bit and it grips the wood below it. It's not hurting the wood, it doesn't mark the wood or anything like that. Because of this laser etching and the way they have these cut out, they've done this on their rulers and a bunch of their other hand tools. That's absolutely genius. Let's say you want to set your angle at 15 degrees. When you get that set, you press down on that, and that basically pushes that grippy stuff into the wood, and that prevents that from slipping and sliding around. And it works well. On the rulers it works, on this it works. All you do is put a little pressure down right there, and that's going to prevent that from moving around. If you've ever tried to lay anything out and your square or your ruler moves, it's frustrating, that's going to help prevent that. For a long time I did have a little bias against budget chisels because I had a very bad experience with a very cheap set. Like, they were bad. The metal on them literally just rolled up. They were so soft. But when I found these DeWalt, I felt like I found a hidden gem. This is a 3-piece set of DeWalt chisels. You get a 1/2, 3/4, and 1-inch chisel, and out of the box, they're fairly sharp. You're not going to be doing some fine woodworking with these, but if you need to take a little edge off or something like that, these will work well. But if you put a little edge on these, sharpen these up a little bit, they are razor sharp, and they hold their edge pretty good. Now, these aren't a $150 or $200 set of chisels like Narex. I do like the Narex, but this little budget set of DeWalt, for the price, you can't beat them. And really, I can't believe these exist at this price because they are so nice. If you don't have a set of chisels, if you're a beginner just starting out, just grab these. I think you'll be perfectly happy with them for quite a while. Another tool I can't believe exists in 2025 is this Mirka sander. I went to AWFS Fair. It's one of the largest woodworking tool conventions in North America, in Las Vegas. We went out there and I visited with Mirka, and they showed me their new sander that they just released this year. This thing is absolutely amazing. What I loved about it was the more pressure you put down, the harder it would spin. So if you're really trying to take off a lot of material, it will get in there. But it'll also do fine finish sanding if you need to do that. And if you pair it with their sandpaper, it's next level genius because they have developed their sandpaper. The white grooves you see in there are actually channels for the dust to get through and get sucked up into the sander. And as far as sound goes, this thing is actually pretty quiet. It's quite impressive to see, and I might need to just get my hands on one for the shop. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a review on one. Comment Mirka, I'll take a look. Next up, the DeWalt 5-in-1 drill. Got a whole video on this if you want to go check that out. But the short of it is, this is one of the most impressive drills that I've seen this year. DeWalt released this in about July of 2025, and it has been sold out quite a bit. You can still get it in a few places, and I'll link to those where they're available. I think this is one of the best drills if you're building cabinets, drawers, or trying to get into tight spaces. This thing has 4 different heads on it, an offset head, a 90-degree head, which I think is one of the most beneficial accessories you can get, a drill chuck, and then a 1/4-inch driver head. If you put the 90-degree head on, you can attach the other 3 to the 90-degree head. So that's what makes it the 5-in-1. As far as power goes, it left the Milwaukee M12 installation driver in the dust, in the sawdust. It was able to drive screws deeper, drill holes faster. It's just a very impressive 20 volt. They do have a 12 volt, which I did compare as well. But this being the 20 volt, a lot of people have access to these 20 volt batteries, and these batteries go on sale quite often. This is one of the most exciting tools I've seen from DeWalt this year. Next up, the Kreg Rebel. How could this not be in here? It's one of the most innovative tools that's never been invented before. This is a pocket hole machine from the pocket hole jig kings themselves, Kreg. They've been making pocket hole jigs for a very long time. It was the first pocket hole jig that I bought was the Kreg R3. Have the Kreg K5 still, Kreg 720. Like, they've made a bunch of pocket hole jigs. I made a bunch of pocket hole projects over the years. It's one of the easiest and most approachable joinery method for beginners, and that's why I absolutely love pocket holes. And everybody that hates on them can go kick a rock, because I think they're absolutely amazing. And this is no exception. Now, this is running on the brand new 20-volt blue ion platform that Kreg just released this year. If you're looking to make pocket holes fast and easy, this is the way to go. You don't have to clamp anything down. It has this rubbery, grippy surface on the bottom. When you put it on the stock, you put about 6 pounds of pressure on top, which is very minimal, and then you just drill the hole. It's very easy to adjust the fence. In other words, the thickness of the material right here. You can go anywhere from 1/2 to 1.5 inch thick material. So all the way up to 2x4s and 2x6s and 2x8s. And you can adjust the depth of your drill bit right on top just by squeezing those 2 levers and positioning them as well. It does have a micro adjustment on top if you need to dial in the depth of that pocket hole. It works extremely easy, it works fast, and I think it's one of the coolest tools we've seen this year. Now, the next one's not for everybody, but I do think it's worth paying attention to, because you never know, maybe you want one day. This is the Festool dual blade. It has 2 blades, Tracksaw. I bought this, reviewed it a while back, and it was quite impressive. It's the cleanest cutting Tracksaw that I've ever used. It has 2 blades. It has a scoring blade in front of the main blade. Especially if you're cutting really delicate material like melamine, you're gonna want something like this, especially if you're cutting a lot of it. So if you're building a lot of shelves and doing a lot of built-ins, things like that, this might come in handy. It makes a perfectly clean cut because of that nice blade. And you can turn that blade off and it won't even plunge down whenever you're using it as a regular track saw. So that's also handy. Now, if this is not your cup of tea and you don't want a Festool track saw, especially with 2 blades, because 2 blades are pricier than 1, you can check out the Makita corded track saw. That's my pick for the best corded track saw on the market. Or if you want the absolute best cordless track saw on the market, in my opinion, I would go with the Makita 40 volt or the Milwaukee 18 volt. Either one of those, absolutely amazing track saws. Next, I got 2 absolutely incredible table saw upgrades. One is made from a small maker just like you. First, the Vevor miter gauge, probably the best budget miter gauge on the market right now, in my opinion. I think this thing is fantastic. First and foremost, it's dead accurate, 90 degrees, and you can also do miter cuts all the way up to 70 degrees each way, which is crazy. And it has a nice stop block that is micro adjustable, so you can dial in that perfect cut length no matter where you're at. And this does also have an extendable fence should you need to cut longer or wider stock. There's also another version that does not have the extendable fence, so if you don't want and or need that, then you can pick that one up and probably save a few dollars. Overall though, this thing is well made, and at the price, it's quite nice. Next, this is from Canyon Fire Tools. This is a micro adjusting fence. It's magnetic, so if you have the Bessemeyer style fence or like the SawStop style fence, this thing just snaps down with a mag jig, and this gives you micro adjustments on your table saw. If you've ever used your table saw and you have to bump, 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 and you go too far and you gotta bump, bump back, this solves that. All you gotta do is magnetically attach this to your fence, get it close. So if you're trying to get to 4 inches, get really close to that, and then lock that magnet down. From there, then you can dial in that exact right measurement with that micro adjuster. It's absolutely genius. I have zero affiliation with Canyon Fire. I just think it's a really cool invention. If you want to get excited about 2026 and some of the cool tools that are coming out, Harvey is fixing to release, or they're planning to release, one of the most genius drill presses I've ever seen. They showed this off at AWFS Fair just a few months ago. It's supposed to be releasing in 2026. This thing's awesome. They call it the Sniper, and the reason they call it the Sniper is all you gotta do is get kind of close, and then the drill press will actually auto center on your mark that you want to drill into. So there's no more missed holes, right? So if you have to have exact precision, this is gonna be the way to go. But this isn't the only feature on this thing. It does have a really cool touch screen. You can do all kinds of adjustments on that touch screen. The bed of this thing also raises and lowers by the motor. It can tilt like every other drill press on the market. It can do anything old drill presses can do, but it can do so much more with this touch screen. You can adjust all the speed settings, everything you need to do on that touch screen. Very responsive. It's quite impressive, and I'm excited to see that come out in 2026. You got to check out those 10 incredible tools that I can't believe exist. We did that a few months ago, and they're mind-blowing. Go check it out. Click that box, get you the big old virtual fist bump.